Hello, I'm Daniela. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I fold a square piece of paper to make it so that I have a little folder with 3 pockets. It's a fun technique, it's very easy to do, and if you have a square of any size, you get great results and there's no cutting. So let me show you how I do this. So to get started for this technique, to make the actual card or folder where it has the folds, you're going to need a square piece of paper. Now you can really use any size. I'm demonstrating on a 12 by 12 and I'll show you a variation, but it's really just the technique. Any size square will work beautifully. I also have some scrap book adhesive here, paper tape. You can use glue as well. What you want to do though is create the folds necessary. And if you want additional elements, either things to put inside the folds or things to cover the front of your piece here, I have a piece of paper here as like a little binding. That's an optional step. So if you want that, just find additional paper, a second sheet of the same paper, or coordinating paper. But to make the basic premise here of the folds, I'm using a double-sided piece of 12 by 12 paper. You don't have to use double-sided, you'll see why, but you can always get around that in different ways. It's a very simple technique. You start by taking your paper and you want to fold it like a book, up and down. I crease it with my finger. You can use a bone folder, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter which side of the paper shows. So from here, I'm going to turn it around, and instead of folding it directly in half, I'm just going to fold it a little bit off. So maybe an inch. You can leave 2 inches if you want. It's a very forgiving technique. So from here, I'm just going to press down. And again, I like to make sure all my creases are nice and straight. Now from here, I have the side here, this lighter color paper, facing me. But with my folds, the dark paper shows. So it's a nice contrast. If you want the inverse, just flip it around, repeat your folds, and now you have the dark color showing, and when you make your folds, you have the light color. So it's really whatever you like. It's very forgiving, as I said. So I'm back to my folds. I've already folded it in half, and then not quite in half. And now I'm going to take just the top layer of the paper here and fold it. Now you can fold it all the way down to the base. You can leave a little lip. It's up to you. I like to leave just a little bit of a lip. And again, I crease that fold. There's no measuring and no cutting. With my next layer, I'm just going to make that fold again, right on top of the first fold. I'm leaving a little bit of room here, about the same amount of room I left at the edge, but that's optional. So now I'm going to take my third paper, my third fold, and I'm going to decide where I want to fold it. I can fold it right on top if I want. I'm going to move it over and fold it again, just that 1 inch. So I have it evenly spaced here. You can see the different layers. Now for this back piece, you can leave it square, that's one option, or you can continue to fold it again. I'm going to fold it again. I have a little bit more than 1 inch. I'm folding it down. So now I have all my folds. Now I'm going to start tucking them. So I take my fold and I just tuck it, and I tuck it, and I take this one and I tuck it again. Nothing's glued down at this point. I like to open it up and start with this fold. Take my adhesive, and again you can use glue, tape, and I'm just going to burnish it down and press that first fold. So now I have it from here. I fold it over. You can decide if you want to tape down the back here and if you want to tape down the sides. I'm going to put a little bit of tape over here. Don't find it's necessary to have a lot. And I'm going to tape over here as well. So now I fold it over. I burnish up there. I burnish down here. And now again, I'm going to add tape to the back of this piece. And that holds it in place. Again, I burnish it well. So now I have my first pocket. When I fold it up, I have the additional area here. So I want to make sure I run tape up and down from the fold to the top. and then just a little bit on this side. And once again, I burnish it. Now I'm using cardstock, so it's a little heavy and it does tend to fight me a little bit. I'm going to pull out that paper, that fold, and just add a little adhesive around the corner. Fold it back in and press it down. And then lastly, I'll do the same thing here with my top fold. You can bring the tape all the way up if you like. I don't really feel a need for that because I'm going to cover this edge. So now I have my folded piece with 3 pockets. And depending on how you use this, it could be a standalone piece, or if you put it in a book, like a junk journal or something, a scrapbook, if you only adhere on the back in this L shape, maybe even up here, you'll get another little pocket. So that's always an option with these journaling. It's really fun technique. Now I like to add a little edge here, a little binder, and then I fill this with tags and pieces. To do the binder, I get another piece of paper, a coordinating piece or a piece that matches. So I have these papers. This one matches, this one's a little different. I think I'll use that little different piece. All I'm going to do is cut down exactly the height of the piece. If I go a little taller, that's fine too, because I can always trim it off. So I take my paper, I made that little cut to show me where I want to cut it. Now I have the height, and again, I just eyeball it for how far I want that binding to be. From here, I fold this in half. And I really like projects that don't require a lot of precision. I know there are some out there who are precision artists, and that's wonderful. But for me, this is an enjoyable process more than anything else. So I like to just create something that I enjoy doing and not stress about the exactness of it. So from here, I'll take my adhesive and run it down both sides of this as well. And you can use glue just as easily. I try and match up the folds to get a nice neat edge. And then I fold this over. After burnishing it well, I'll trim the edges. And now I'm ready to make some tags to go inside the pockets. And there are lots of techniques for that. So then when it's all folded and adhered down and burnished, I just like to fill it with some odds and ends. Some folded paper with a little pocket. Again, coordinates and matches nicely with this little folder that I made. I have a tag with a little bit of ribbon, and I try and vary the heights, and then a little booklet. So I have this complete and filled with all sorts of goodies. Now let me show you some variations. So here's another 12 by 12 piece of paper, folded with all these little goodies, but instead of folding the final piece, I left it flat. And it's a great way to hold little ephemera and little things. Here's a folded piece of paper that I made with a little bit of lace on top, a tag with some of that lace that coordinates because I tea-dyed both of them, and the same thing here with this little piece. So it's really fun. Now if you use smaller squares, you get smaller results. So this is an 8 by 8 piece of paper that I folded to make the initial pocket, or a series of pockets, and then just some little tags to put in a little pad of paper here. So these are really fun things to include. And lastly, I have a really mini version. Look at how cute that is. And that's a 6 by 6. So again, I have my pockets, a mini tag, a little holder here. You can write things down, and a mini little book that coordinates nicely. And it's very interesting. You just want to see what's inside of it. So then you have these cute little pockets that you can use in your junk journals. And the beauty of it is they're standalone as well.
So that's how I create the single paper folder with 3 pockets. It's a great addition to a journal, or it could be standalone. It's fun to fill with different things, tags and little booklets. And in a future video, I'll show you the little fun things that I use to fill those little pockets. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Please consider becoming a paid member of my channel for behind-the-scenes footage, additional techniques, and a little glimpse into my private life. Thanks for joining me today.